Danke, membro di Prensa. Buongiorno, un buongiorno speciale a Diana e suo gruppo di Wait Institute. Manera bisa, nos lo abri para perguntar e prometendo parte de aberto e acto que nós também celebrar agora aqui, então depois de sei, sentimos estar livre para vir ora nos cabe tanto e sentimos mais livre de assim perguntar qualquer tópico que tenha de interesse, me lo assim máximo esforço para contestar. Wade Institute, com essa que a comissão, é tópico de contaminação de nos água, nossa biologia marina e necessidade de ter bom manejo costal para evitar contaminação de nos água tem interesse crescente. Estamos por acordo com o ano passado, estava em agosto, o central comece a discussão a continuar tocante contaminação de nos água. Nós temos diferentes origem de contaminação, onde nos mês, no sentido que o governo e manejo não estava mais adequado, que é que forde nos mês manejo botem dumpamento de la mão. Está conhecido no sistema de água de Berput, etc. O tópico está conhecido. E outra maneira está que nós temos desenvolvimento projeto de desenvolvimento na nossa costa, projeto de construção, caminha de uma ou outra maneira o que é área geográfica, está dañada de tal maneira que terra também tem la mão água zero que vai tapa nos refnan de coral que tudo efeito que se por ti. Pero banda de sei também a quantidade de construção que tem na nossa costa que tem a ver com recreação ou resort, com que me caminha erroneamente nós pensa que botar beerput eclipse a bem resultado de assim por isso que finalmente tur é produto indesejado vai acabar em la mão. No papel mês de área de nos cotagat com nos atividade industrial, começando por de refineria e outro tipo de indústria que nós está baixando químico e outra coisa de nos la mão. Aí passar a bem salina claro que onde maneira não para mídia seita de saco basta tempo passar 64% de superfície rondo de nos costa estava tem coral reef de coral e a quantidade mientras tanto a barra reduzir tem a 16%. Bom, mirando a situação aí, então que o governo me faz algo, nós estava tendo grato suerte de ter contato com o Instituto Wait International Wait Institute, vez que você lo tem de mais de gente a preferir lá grupo me hace sua apresentação, pero nós aí assim leu que o instituto aqui ajuda o governo de região para vir com plano de manejo duradouro de nossa biologia marina agua e la lo qual está manejo de inteira área de prevenção de contaminação de nossa água. Nós papia kunan e nós avisanan que nós sei, pero como acto causal ou acto preliminar, nós que acercamento de problema for de ribatera tem na mão. É decir, nós que incluir ter sistema de nos manejo de nos água de cloaca, é decir, ter plano nacional que preferivelmente por ordem partir em diferentes fases e assim pôr plano de mesa que nós temos de trazer e executar. Nós temos disponibilidade e maneira que nós também se trabalha que sustém kunang tabay duna lower do pone den memorandum of understanding di mes instituto prestigioso sina si eta ayudabo como gobierno, también como gobierno tiene mostrado commitment. Anto ese nos hace antes ese nos tabay pone nos tabay haciele den acto di firma di memorandum of understanding. Mitindi bisa que que awadu tratado en Consejo de Ministros ayer el awadu aprobar nos hay el landsbesluit que autorizar mi firma y como tal nos tabay celebrar acto y ahora que nada. Pero prometo no llega en acto la gami pasa palabra na Ayana por donar explicación más amplio de wet instituut. Ayana, palabra tanabo.
Masha danki, Minister Whiteman. Bon tardi a tour. Mi nota papia papiamentu bon, pero Masha danki por bo tempo. Eta un dia hopi dushi par mi e the Wait Institute. We are here to launch the Blue Halo Initiative in Papiamentu, maybe Ahora Blau. To give you a little bit of context about Ted Waite, the founder and chairman of the Institute, and myself, for context, Mr. Waite was the founder and CEO of Gateway Computers. He retired young and decided he wanted to give back. He is one of the most generous philanthropists in America, and his philanthropy is focused on ocean conservation. He began to travel the seas to remote places and found, even very far from large populations, that there would be depleted fisheries, depleted and damaged coral reefs, trash on the beaches, hopi sushi, and he also thought that this was a problem that he could help to solve, that ocean conservation was something that had many solutions. And so the Waite Foundation and the Waite Institute are both dedicated to ocean conservation, and the mission of the Waite Institute is to empower communities to restore their oceans. So as Minister Whiteman was describing, it's about partnering with governments that want to manage their oceans sustainably and providing the tools and resources to support that process of developing a sustainable ocean policy. My background personally is I am a marine biologist. That's what my PhD was focused on, in particular on sustainable management of coral reef fisheries in the Caribbean. Most of my research was conducted here on Dushi Curaçao in, I guess, 2007 to 2010. As part of that, I did over 300 scuba dives around the island. I'm very familiar with the reefs here and how important they are, not just to Curaçao, but to the entire region and to the tourism economy, as well as to the fishermen. And that they're something that has immense cultural value here as well. So many people, we were just talking this morning, your stories about growing up and going to the beach every weekend with your family and really appreciating that opportunity. So in addition to my diving, which showed me just how magnificent Curaçao's reefs are compared to those in the rest of the Caribbean, you still have the healthiest reefs in the Caribbean, among the healthiest. But that is certainly not going to last unless sustainable measures are put in place, that's managed well, as you described. Controlling pollution is certainly a primary concern, and it's great that that is a priority for you and your ministry. In addition, coastal construction and development that you mentioned, so far as I can translate, as well, overfishing is something that needs to be managed very carefully. So I've seen your reefs. They're wonderful. They're a jewel, absolutely worth protecting, not just to set aside, but to enrich the community. So it's really exciting to be here today to launch. I wanted to introduce our team very briefly and just share with you the Waite Institute. I'm the executive director, but the team is much larger than myself. We have Stephanie Roach, who's our program manager, who focuses on education and communications. This is her in the back here. She'll be working very closely with the schools here on trying to integrate more ocean education into the school system. Andy Estep, standing next to her, is our science manager. He's going to be collaborating with the ministry and Karmabi and other groups that do ocean research here in order to augment and supplement their capacity and provide as much data as we can of the best possible quality to enable the ministry, the Council of Ministers, the entire government to make decisions that are based on the best available science. We also have Catherine Mendrink from the Environmental Law Institute, who's sitting over here, who is going to support legal drafting with her expertise in ocean policy around the Caribbean and around the world. We also have two fisheries scientists here with us, Catherine Siegel and Lennon Thomas from the University of California, Santa Barbara, who are assisting us in fisheries modeling and data collection on fisheries work. There are also several members of the team who are not with us today. Catherine's legal colleague, Reed Porter, as well as an enforcement technology expert, other enforcement consultants. I'm sure I'm leaving someone out, but we have a robust team in addition to our board of directors and all of our advisors. So we are really looking forward to partnering with the ministries, the civil servants, and working together. A little bit more description on the Blue Halo Initiative. It's really focused around two questions. What do you want your ocean to look like in the future? And how can we help you get there? This is all about the Waite Institute supplementing existing capacity, filling in gaps, supporting the government. And more broadly, our mission is to empower communities to restore their ocean and to use ocean resources, but in a way that is sustainable, profitable, and enjoyable for this and future generations. So this is not about simply setting aside the ocean and protecting it. It's about using it in a way that meets the needs of the people of Curaçao. We think of this as the Waite Institute providing a toolkit that governments and other stakeholders can use to envision, design, and then implement a sustainable ocean policy. While the Waite Institute provides the toolkit from science to legal to communications to education to outreach and habitat mapping, there's a long list of tools that we're here to provide. What the government of Curaçao is doing is providing the will. The political will that is bipartisan. It is not one particular party. It is the entire Council of Ministers that is supporting this effort and is going to be leading the public consultations and asking for support from all of the various ministries and civil servants at all levels, and making this commitment through this memorandum of understanding to develop a comprehensive sustainable ocean policy. And that policy will have 2 or 3 major components. One of the concepts is ocean zoning. So just as you would on land, think about how you want to divide up ocean area for different uses: agricultural, industrial, residential, tourism. You can do the same thing in the oceans. So we're here to help think through how the ocean, how ocean space might be divided to successfully accommodate all the demands. So that can include obviously fishing areas, diving areas, shipping areas, if there are energy needs like wind energy, as well as protected areas, marine parks that are set aside, protected from fishing, so that those areas can replenish the areas around them. The other aspect that is major is thinking about fisheries management and fisheries regulations and whether those need to be changed in any way, expanded upon. As you mentioned, pollution is also going to be a major consideration. So our approach is to be science-based, but driven by the priorities and concerns of the community, making everything as transparent as possible. We have already up a website, curacao.waiteinstitute.org. That's spelled W-A-I-T-T, institute.org. So you can go there for more information about the project. We'll be keeping that updated as we go along. For those who prefer to get their news and updates through social media, you can also find the Wait Institute on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Vimeo, YouTube. We'll be sharing all sorts of information across all those social platforms so that all the stakeholders and residents, citizens of Curacao can know what is going on with the Blue Halo Initiative and participate in whatever manner that they decide. The last thing I wanted to say about the format of the initiative is that it's a 4-year commitment on the part of the Wait Institute, and that is what is codified in this memorandum. We're not here to simply assist in the passage of new laws. We're here to help envision, design, and implement a system that's going to work here in the long term. So we envision the first year or two are based on community consultation, collecting data, legal drafting, and then the second 2 years are focused on ensuring that implementation is set up to succeed and be durable. So you can find this information and more online, again, at curacao.waitinstitute.org. But I wanted to leave you with 2 anecdotes. When I was here, in addition to doing hundreds of dives around the island, I had the opportunity to interview over 100 fishermen. I think I interviewed 132 of the fishermen here on Curacao, which is well more than half of them. And I asked over 100 questions to each. I sat down for about an hour with each person and asked them to explain to me how they use the ocean, how do they fish, what manners of fishing are they using? How has that changed over time? What are their catches now? How often do they go out? What do they see as the problems with the way that their catches are changing? What are the causes of those changes? And all sorts of questions. That's how I in part learned the little bit of Papiamentu that I know, asking questions like Kiko bota usa paas, for example. And their responses were really overwhelming as far as their deep understanding of the state of the resources and how they have changed over time. And there are 2 short anecdotes I want to share. The first was from a fisherman who was in his mid-40s, and what he said to me when I asked him how fishing was that day, he said, "Hodidu," is that the word? "Hodidu," he said, "I was out all day and I didn't catch anything, and now I'm going to McDonald's for dinner." And it's funny, but it's also very sad, and it's a very strong example of the need to improve management so fisheries can be restored. The second example is from a 15-year-old fisherman, a young guy who is telling me about how his catches compare to the photographs that he's seen and the stories that he's heard from his father and grandfather. And he said to me, "The stories that I hear, people used to describe the size of the fish like this, vertically off the ground. And now we show the size of our fish horizontally." So a lot has changed here in the last few decades, but Curacao still has all of the ingredients for restoring all of that. All of the species are still here. There's still much more coral here than in the rest of the region. So there's huge reason to be optimistic that the Blue Halo Initiative in Curacao could really turn things around and improve the state of the resources for the benefit of the people of Curacao. So in closing, I just want to say thank you to all the people that have been working in front of the scenes and behind the scenes to get us to this moment of signing this memorandum of understanding. Minister Whiteman, of course, in particular, for his faith in this partnership and all the potential, and his deep concern and commitment to sustainability of the environment and nature that fall within his ministry. I also wanted to thank Minister Jacobim. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Jardim.
Sorry, Jardim, who was the partner in co-signing the initial letter of interest to the Waite Institute that really formally kicked this process off. Somewhat more behind the scenes, Senator Silveron has been very supportive of helping to introduce me to various people. He's the first political official I met here a few months ago, and has really facilitated this process, so thanks to him. Also to Dr. Constancia Cook from your ministry, who has also been supportive of this process. And most of all, Mr. Faisal Dilrosun, policy advisor to the ministry. He's here wearing his very cool shades. I actually have a present for you, Faisal, because all of the work together has resulted in him needing to wear more ties and suits. I have a present of a tie for you, so that when you hang out with me, you won't have to always worry about having enough ties. I also wanted to thank Mr. Raul Enriquez, the secretary, for the Council of Ministers, who has really helped to pull together the legal paperwork to enable us to sign at this moment. So sincere thanks to his efforts. Ah, there you are. It's great to see you. Thank you. And lastly, to the governor for really accommodating us and making this possible to be here in this moment. So thanks to all of you. Mashadanki por bo tempo. And I'm happy to answer any questions now or later today. Most of you have received packets with lots of information about the initiative. You also have in here these notebooks and pencils. We had the opportunity to visit one of the primary schools and meet a lot of the students and handed these out, and they are so sharp and so interested and have lots to share about the ocean. So I think that's yet another reason to be optimistic about the future of sustainable oceans here. So with that, I'll close, but thank you all very much.
Okay. Thank you, Ayana. I think we should immediately proceed. I don't know if someone can call Raul. Raul is in the neighborhood. First of all, this is the Landsbesluit. That's the Lands decree that authorizes me to sign this MOU with you. The signature of the governor is the authorization. So what we are doing is completely legal. And we have 2 copies of the MOU, which you will sign one, and then give it to me. I will sign one, give it to you, and then we switch.
Oh, do you want me to date it as well?
Good.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome. And I look forward in fruitful working together.
Yes, this will be a good partnership for
Good
sure.
partnership. Okay. I want to thank you. Maybe we can open the floor for questions.
That would be great.
Okay.
Dank u. Depois de parte aqui, minister, nós abrimos para pergunta e contesta, e para o tópico aqui de primeiro.
Sì, na prima instância, I would like to start with the minister. E progetto, ministro, può explicar-nos, nós está do Waite Institute